I ran into the car right now. So right now I just want to get in, sink in. So I'm waiting for you to play.
You not awake yet?
I'm awake, but I'm not like, okay, just I can tell you after this, okay? After the flute.
You haven't woken up?
Oh my God, you should have seen me like 2 minutes before I started the live. So
What were you
the
2 minutes?
beehive is blurry, she said. Am I?
What were you 2 minutes ago? You said you should have seen me.
Yeah, I was running. I was running to my destination. I'm like, oh my God, it's 10 o'clock. I just have to run. But can you guys see me? Someone said I was
I
blurry.
can see you.
Okay. Can anybody else see me, right? Lex, am I still blurry to you? Yeah, I was rushing, Jerome. I was rushing. I was doing too many things. Sometimes when you have like too many things going on and you like grabbing here, you all over the place and then you end up doing nothing. Okay.
You said you was doing everything and you ended up doing nothing.
Yes. Yeah. So now I just want to go in. I'm craving to go in.
Okay, okay. I got you. You ready?
Okay, now I'm ready.
Okay. Deep breath.
Hmm. Oh my God, I just started.
Just started what?
My relaxation, just like when I went to the different world. Yeah, you ended. I'm like, I want to stay here. Ooh, that was nice. Thank you.
Well, you're a world traveler, Olivia.
Wow, that was nice. That took me to Ethiopia, by the way.
Ethiopia this time. Where in
I don't,
Ethiopia did you go?
for some reason, there's this folk music, I think it's has this kind of like flute or something. I don't know, but it really took me to the valley somewhere in Ethiopia. I will send you a video.
You went to the valley.
Hmm. It's always like when they have this traditional tribal music, they're always on the valley somewhere, and then the music sound like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We've been traveling, you know.
Yeah.
We've been traveling together. We've been going places, you know. We've been going places. Here's one of the places we've gone, you know.
Yes.
Did you brought any notes to yeah?
I brought the book.
Did you bring your notes?
They're in here somewhere. You
In
find
there
them.
somewhere. Says we go dig. We go dig and find them. They're in there somewhere.
You know. You know what? I'm You're gonna be so disappointed. I don't know how to stop when I start reading. Okay, I have problems.
Hey, you know. Sometimes we can't stop, right? When we start, we can't stop.
Yeah,
You
but you know what?
know. Hmm.
You can summarize it and then pick up places in the book, and I can elaborate. That
You
works.
know that's what they say about potato chips. You ever heard that?
No,
They
but
they used to have a saying about potato chips, Nabia. They used to say, "Once you pop, you just can't stop."
oh
You ever heard that?
no, it's not true in my world. No.
They say, "Once you pop, you just can't stop."
Oh wow. Yeah. So for me, it's the
It's
books.
the books for you. It's the books for you. Yeah. One of my mentors, Jim Rohn, he said, "Miss a meal if you have to, but don't miss a book."
It's it's like I feel like it's the same problem sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm. It could be the same problem because I don't know. Like earlier, I was reading another book, okay, and I was, reading a chapter, and I said, "Oh, I need to charge my phone, so I need to go and take my phone to the living room." And while I was reading, I I walked to the living room, still reading, and I need to put the phone in the charger, but I'm standing there reading, and then I read few pages, and then I read a whole page, a whole chapter, and I'm still standing there, not plugged the phone in. I'm like, put it down, put it down. I need to plug the phone. I can't. So that's the kind of problem. So is it good or is it bad? I don't know.
Yeah. Is that a good or bad problem?
I I don't know. Sometimes the good thing can become.
You know, because we do that with the phone itself. Sometimes we have to go do something and then we can't put the phone down.
Yes.
But when you say book, you know, it's interesting. What I love about these books is that you don't have to charge them, right?
Hmm.
They don't have to be plugged into the wall socket. So they're on all the time.
Mhm.
So this
Mhm.
technology, it can be out in the sunlight, right?
Yeah.
And it won't burn up, you know?
It can burn. The books can burn.
Well, I'm talking about like the cell phone can't be under direct sunlight, but the book can.
Yeah. But the cell phone and the book, you can't compare them. You can't compare them anyway. It's like the phone. It's not. It's an entertaining thing, but it's not as valuable as a book to me.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I just feel like the book is more like original. The book is more like um, it's not artificial.
I
It's
like
not.
how you're eating the book when you're thinking. She's over there eating the book right now. She's like, I just, I just,
I forgot I was on camera. Oh my God. Oh no, the books are more natural,
uh-huh.
while the phone is more like artificial thing.
You
Meaning,
know, meaning
when I read the book, I'm using my brain somehow.
somehow?
Yeah, I'm using it more, even though it's not fully. When you create a story out of the air, then you are using your imagination, you creating stuff. But when you're reading a story that's created for you, you still co-creating with the person, if that makes sense. Because the person have written the scene and everything, but then you can decorate it with your own mind, kind of. On,
Decoration.
yeah, the phone is like everything is just flashing and here and there, and you think you're engaging with something, but you're not. It's just artificial.
Okay, so that's a good point, Nabiha. So you're saying there's a decoration, there's an embellishment, there's a co-creation as you're intaking the information. There's
Mm-hmm.
a collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
there's also that form of communication, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because just what you were saying when when you're reading the book, you feel like you're using your brain somehow. You said,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm using my brain somehow when I
Yeah.
read. That's what you said. But when you're reading or when you're working with the cell phone, like when you have these device,
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel like you're using your brain somehow?
No, it's like
No?
it's like driving. You know, when you're driving, are you using your brain like that? No, it's like learned habit. That's just learned.
You're not using your brain somehow?
No, it's like you're brainless.
Is it
You're using your fingers. Your fingers become your brain. You know.
so even though you feel brainless, is it painless to feel brainless?
Yeah, you feel numb. So it could be painless. I don't know. I don't know. But the phone is like a learned habit. You know, it's learned habit. Like let's say let's say one scene from the book, the meeting, for example, right? What Edgy, Eja, how do you pronounce her name? Edgy? Yeah. Where she, in that meeting where she found all that courage, all that thing that was going on, the scene where she was like locked up and she could see what was going on in the palace. All of that, you have to create it in your mind. You work in your mind. But if it was a movie like right in front of you, all these actions are going on in front of you. You're not using your brain somehow. I had to use my brain because I don't know fight scenes. I don't read a lot of fight scenes. But with you, I've read a lot of fight scenes, and I'm like, okay, now imagine the sword. Okay, it's a lot of things I have to imagine. But
Well, yeah, we've seen stuff like One Piece and Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and all these different anime, and to see all these animations, I kind of have the scenes running in my mind. Because when I was younger in middle school, I used to daydream, and I would daydream about these fight scenes in my head. So
okay.
these I actually have them in my imagination. Before I even saw the Avatar, The Last Airbender, I was having battles and all sorts of stuff
Mhm.
in my mind. So that's somehow, I'm using my brain somehow, but it's already ingrained in my imagination. So it's not that far reaching of a creation.
Hmm.
But I like to say, Nabiha, that, these phones, it's a learned habit because just like we can walk and you know interact with these
Mhm.
phones, we can also walk and we can interact with these books. So in one of the chapters, Dikiogo, the Thunder Boy, the Thunder and Lightning Boy, or the Rainmaker of the story, he
How
talks.
do you pronounce his name? I say Gigeko.
Okay,
Gigeko.
Diego. So he was talking about how he learned how to walk and read,
Hmm.
but that's a learned habit, you
Hmm.
know.
It it is a learned habit, but then you're doing a lot of activities at the same time. Now you're training, your brain even more because it's a balance. If you can focus on the words, so you can focus on each words and not, miss out while you're walking. You're doing so many different activities at the same time. The phone, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. It's like you are more like a robot when you're on the phone and just walking around. Again, learned habit. But even if the reading and walking is a learned habit, you're still using your muscles,
What muscle?
both physically and mentally.
That's true. That's true.
You are. When you are walking, you would even feel like you are walking, reading. But when you're walking and scrolling, you don't feel like you're walking and scrolling. It's just a habit. It both go together. It's like everybody's scrolling and walking.
Okay, let me ask you this, Nabiha. When you're on your laptop doing work,
Hmm.
right? And you might have, are you the type of person that has multiple tabs open at the same time?
I can have that sometimes, but it bothers
So,
me. Yeah,
well, like how many tabs might you have at any given time? Like how many tabs would you have open?
more than five for sure.
More than five tabs. Okay. Now, do you think that your mind is keeping track of all 5 tabs at the same time? Do you feel like that's multitasking? Is that what you call it?
No, but if I had to go and find the pages each time, then I'm using my brain.
So you're not using your brain other
No,
other.
no. Most of the technology thing is helping us to not use our brain. It's the opposite. Let me help you not use your brain. Let me be the smart device that be your brain. So it's making you more like brainless and brainless and brainless. In a way, because even if the tabs wasn't open there, you have the tabs open because of your memory is not as good as usual. You don't remember what you typed in.
So it's for you to remember.
Hmm. For the
That
computer can be your brain.
okay.
A
Now,
book can never be your brain.
hmm okay. And
Mhm.
before you got to like that level, the level of 5 tabs at the same time, to hold all those tabs together at the same time, before you got to that level, did it start out that way, or was it just one at a time?
What do you mean by the tabs?
Yeah,
If I,
like you didn't hop on the computer the first time you used it and just had like 5 tabs open at the same time, right? That was a learned, was that a learned habit?
I think it just happened by
By
mistake, and
mistake?
then
Who's
yeah, that you have one tab open and then another tab open and like, yeah, I think it just happened by mistake, right? It's
so
not like it's something you have to master to have a lot of tabs open, is it?
so that's not a level of mastery?
No, is it? Is it?
So if it's not mastery, then whose mistake? Whose mistake would it be if it happened by accident?
If you have, let me get this question correct. So you mean if you have all the tabs open? Now you're confusing me. What what kind of?
Because we get to these learned habits, like you
Hmm.
said, some of we make by mistake.
Hmm.
You're saying some of them happen by accident, like they just happen. One day I just woke up and now I have all these tabs. One day I woke up and now I'm scrolling while I'm walking. One day I woke up and now I'm doing things without even thinking. I'm
Hmm.
not using my brain. It's brainless, but it's also painless because I'm kind of numbed, right?
It's kind of like you're hypnotized and you're just doing things.
Hmm.
That's how I feel. Can you just remember like how technology came in and how it escalated, how it became the way it is? I don't remember. It just it just is became like this, right? But you can't remember like how we grew from the beginning to now. You just know like okay, you see yourself scrolling. Do you remember when the phone just became this from this? No.
I, I remember there was a little green phone and it had a green screen. And I remember playing Snake, the Snake
Yes.
game.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nokia. Yeah.
yeah.
That used
Like,
to be my first phone.
so you remember.
Yes, I remember, but what I'm saying is it just changed, right? And then the screen changed, everything changed, and it's just like we're here now. It's not like you remember how it changed.
Mm.
Or or it wasn't like, oh my God, this is gonna change to this and we have a choice. We didn't have a choice. We didn't have a
So
choice.
what does that tell you about the days that are to come? Even though we know this is just one day, right?
Yeah, like that movie we
Right?
watched, The Creator. Yeah.
Creator.
Hmm. We're there now.
I mean, even while we're speaking, we're creating.
Hmm.
You know, even
Hmm.
as we're talking, someone's creating.
We are the creators of everything in here we created, even like the things that we think like, oh, human cannot create this, because of we think like we have to create something physical, but we are creating the rest as well with our thoughts, but we don't see that as creation. But if we build a house with our hands, it's like, okay, that's a human creation, but we don't see everything else as a human creation as well. Like we just
Right.
mirror everything. We
Right.
are creators.
It's true. Like, could you imagine living in a time period, they had the horse and buggy, right?
Yeah.
And they could not even imagine you sitting in that vehicle right now.
Hmm.
Like you sitting in that car right now. was
Mhm.
far from the imagination, they couldn't even conceive of the possibility.
Mhm. I know.
And yet here we are.
But it's the same thing with everything. It's a lot of things you cannot imagine today, but it doesn't mean they're impossible.
Right.
Just
Right.
because you can't imagine it. It's just the content in your consciousness, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, if you lack in the imagination, it won't appear. It just makes sense, right? If you can't imagine something, it cannot appear in front of you.
Thank you. Thank you. My gosh, that is so huge. Because one of my mentors would always say this, Navia, and I'm sure you might agree. They said, you don't get what you want. You get what you picture.
Mm.
You get what you picture. You know, everyone's like, oh man, like I want this, I want that, and you know, but it's like you can't picture that. How do you even imagine that possibility if you can't picture it? There's so many reels that you would put up, right? Because you always keep it real with your reels, and you give all the feels in your reels. And sometimes you'll put reels of these exotic locations, these lavish spaces, and these faraway places, and these beautiful areas, and the atmosphere and the ambiance of the books on the shelves, of the greenery and the scenery and the landscapes and the views and the vistas, and all of this is in your imagination, you know? And I can only imagine that these are the things that you picture.
Yeah. It's not, it's like, I feel like those pictures that I share are pictures that I have seen. Because if it resonates with me and it feels like home, then it's something that I know already, you know? And if it doesn't feel home for someone else and for someone else, there are so many different places. Like when I find like a nice house in the forest somewhere and it looks cozy or something like that, and I post it, for someone else, it would be like, oh my God, that's scary. Like my cousin was like, that's scary. Why do you want to live in the middle of the forest? That's so scary. For her, it was terrifying, you know? But to me, it was like so cozy, right? So it's different. It's different. But you can't like, it's not even just picturing, but it's like, when I don't believe in wants. Oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. You, it's just a word. It has no vibration to it. So you have to picture it. That means like it needs to sink in. You have to remember it. You have to remember it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the body holds memory.
Hmm.
You know, the body holds memory. It's, I mean, we're made of, they say, so much percentage of water. So we're like programming our water with our memory, with our imagination. We create magic.
Hmm.
We create magic with our imagination.
Exactly.
And you know, with these locations that you're using your imagination to imagine yourself within the location, when other people say, hey, why would you ever want to live in the forest? Why do you want to live in the forest?
Me, I feel like that's home. It's closer to home, you know? Even if you, we are so conditioned to live in these buildings and stuff, but even if you get your little building in the forest, you closer to home. Meaning like closer to home is like closer to yourself. So the further you get from the artificial, the more you'll remember yourself. So remembering yourself, you don't use your brain, you know? Like the cells and everything has to remember it. So you have to put it in the environment it can remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about the end of the
Yeah,
book when Eddie realized that it was New York.
yeah.
You know? So it's it's the environment that we are in that shapes us. And most of us can live in cities and we become all these beasts, you know, these evil leaders and whatever, you know, because of the environment is creating the people. But if we go more into the nature and more into, um, you know, forest and whatever, we become more aligned with our natural state. Yeah, we become more balanced. Then we won't have all these evil thoughts and all these wars and all everything that's going on, you know.
Okay.
So we are just disaligned.
So more more aligned, more equalized, more stabilized, more realized
Mm-hmm.
a natural
Mm-hmm.
environment. So within these natural environments, you know, I always usually see these books on these shelves. Like you'll have a natural environment. You might even have a waterfall or a green landscape in the background or something. But then lining the walls of this, in you know, there'll be books. So do you feel like the books are helping you remember as well as the environment is helping you remember? Like how do the two go hand in hand for you?
Hmm. I guess it's two of the things that I like that came together. Meaning, the forest and the books is the same, books are made of the forest. And then the stories told by people. But I think, this whole planet is kind of like a place, a playground. We are magicians for us to create magic, right? Imagine, make magic, create magic. So, in a sense, like, when I like to be entertained, but my entertainment is different. So reading these books, it's kind of like an entertainment. But what would be valuable to me in the forest is like blank pages, because I would like to tell stories myself. So the book is valuable because of its stories and blah 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 blah. But if I was in the forest and I had a little library, I wish the stories could change all the time. you know but it's just for entertainment. My books are entertainment, and yes, they make you remember, not because of you want to absorb some information from there and you want to remember something, but just because of you just reading a nice story, and it makes you remember something. You know,
So you wish that the books could change in your environment. Does that mean that you don't enjoy reading the same story?
you can't read the same story over and over again.
No?
No, the reason why is because of, if you want to be programmed, yes, that's why they have you read the Bible over and over again. You can't. I never understood. I love books, but one of the reasons why I didn't like religion is like, how do you make people read the same book over and over again? I can't even read my favorite book, so many times. Like, how you make people read the same book for the rest of their life, for the rest of their life. That's boring. I need a new story all the time, because I like to dive into people's minds, and I feel like these authors are writing something they remember. They may think like they're making up stuff, but it's stories that they remember.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If a year from now,
Hmm.
you come back and you read this book a year from now, right? A year from now, right?
Hmm.
You'll Nabiha will be a different person. Can you say that?
Hmm.
Even though the book is the same, Nabiha.
Yes.
So you read the same book, but you're a different person. Do you really think you're reading the same book?
Um. No, that's a different. That's different. The story can change because you changed. Because of some things, sound different because of you understand more. Yeah, but I've never thought of it like a story, because of the story. However, it's written after I read it, it becomes mine.
So it's not. It's never the same story
No, it's never the same story. It's just that, okay, would I like to be entertained by the same story that I made up?
because you're never the same person.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, you have a point there, but I don't know. It's just, yeah, I don't like to read the same story again. Even if I like it, I just don't like to read it again.
You know, it's interesting. Like the rainmaker, Diego,
Mm-hmm.
we have a different rainmaker in our minds. Even though we read the same book, we have a different edgy in our minds. You know, even
Mm-hmm.
if we read the same book, we have a different desert magician in the mind.
Yeah, we do.
We have Jah in our mind. We have a different Gambo, a different Bougie, a different Genin. Like
Yeah,
we have it's different because we're two different people. We
yeah,
see things different. We don't see it exactly the same exactly. That's why I love coming to you and enjoying, sharing the realizations, because we're sharing this vibration, that we received from this book.
yeah.
But
That's why I like bookstore, because you, like you said, you can have your own
right,
characters, even though we're reading the same story.
right,
Yeah. And even better if you're retelling the story and I'm retelling the story, because it would still be different but the same. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah, you have a point there. People on here. Yeah, he got a
but
point.
that's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's they say
Yeah.
variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, it's true.
The spice.
It's, yeah. But you know what I was thinking about today on my walk? I was like, you know what? To grow, you need to change your environment. You, you really have to. To grow, you have to change your environment. Like, look at Edgy. If she stayed in the town, she wouldn't be that change person. Tutu wouldn't be that change person. All of those characters that you chose, actually, if they didn't change the environment, they would never grow. And it makes sense, just like the plants, like every plant do not grow in all climates.
Mm,
They have their own climate where they grow. So,
right. It,
yeah,
it's
we need to move to change.
so true. I agree with you. 100%. Because, like they say, change is, but growth is optional.
Hmm.
Growth is optional. So, where do you feel like was the environment for you that you grew the most in life? Where did you feel like you got the most growth? What environment was that?
I like to see myself as a chameleon. So I can be in one environment. Let's say, like, chameleon is on a rock environment. That chameleon is like a rock for so long. And, I need to leave until I forget what I was, you know? So, the chameleon will just become a rock. Eventually we'll think it's a rock if you don't move. So to me, I used to think it was negative that I moved a lot. I've moving around a lot in Norway, at least, and here, yeah, this is the only place I've been stuck. So I haven't been growing here. So I've realized that I'm like a seed on a concrete in California. Yeah, but
Did you seed on the
yeah, you don't grow here.
a seed
Oh, I don't.
on the concrete with no water, no soil, no nourishment, just
No,
a seed on.
just a seed, and it's too hot. So, so it's, yeah, I've grown. I used to think, the reason why I actually came to California was like, I must be a tropical seed. So let me go and plant myself in a tropical area, and here, this was my first thought. And then I realized, okay, I'm just this seed bouncing on concrete, I need to get out of here. So, yeah, I feel like a chameleon. If I stay too long, I would just be that seed, bouncing on the concrete. And then eventually dry up. So,
Now,
yeah.
now, if you're on the concrete, if you're just there where people are walking on the sidewalk on the concrete, do you feel like you sometimes you feel like you get stepped on the concrete?
I'm like, I don't even, since I don't interact with a lot of people, I'm not around people so much. Um, no, I haven't, my problem isn't people.
No.
No, it's not people. It's just, I'm just a lost seed, I came to a wrong environment. That's all it is. And it's like, ooh, let's get out of here. It's just me, no people involved, really.
And who planted the seed in the wrong environment? When you
Me.
have a feeling like I'm just a lost seed,
Mhm.
just out here, just on the concrete. This is not my environment. How did
I will take the word lost away, because I think I chose, it was a clear choice. Like I said, I said, okay, let's see if the seed grows in the tropics. So I already knew I was a seed, right? So it's not like I'm lost or anything, but I realized, oh my God, there's no soil here. That's all it is. There's no soil. But then I don't know. I still like the heat, so I'm just bouncing on the concrete. Yeah.
And we do this, because I myself did it when I was in different environments. I would work and I would toil even though there was no soil,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I would have a sense of turmoil, right?
Wow. Yeah.
I look around,
Yeah.
there is no soil.
That's exactly how I feel. But, I like challenges. It's okay. It makes me grow. Yeah.
The, well, okay, what doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. But you said that when you don't go, you can't
No,
grow.
no. Because, my strength is taking the seed from the concrete to the soil.
Right.
That's the strength, right? So, and that's the only way you will grow.
So if you enjoy the challenge, but if you don't go, you can't grow.
Hmm. I know. It's just, it's still, it's like standing on the edge. It's just
On
like,
the edge of
yeah, it's just like that adrenaline kick you get. I like that. I think that's what I like.
you're standing on the edge. You're living life on the edge. Yeah.
Yes, that's another word you can describe
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I like to live on the edge sometimes, just to test myself if I'm still alive.
You know, Janelle Monáe. You know Janelle Monáe?
No?
Okay, she's a popular singer. She had a song. She said, "Whether you're high or low."
Yeah, I know that song.
Oh, so you do know her.
Yeah, I just don't know names like that. Like
Okay.
all these authors that we have read, I can't remember their names, for example.
But you remember the song called The Tightrope.
Yeah, yeah, I remember the lyrics that you
She said,
said. Yeah.
tip on the tightrope, right?
Hmm.
Whether you're high or low, you got to tip on the tightrope. So you live life on the edge, on the razor's edge. Is there a thrill? Is there like do you feel, is it exhilarating to
That's,
live life on?
yeah, that's what I mean by knowing if you're alive or not. Because if you're just comfortable, you're depressed most of the time.
Okay,
You're
okay.
depressed. I didn't know what depression was until 2014, I think. Yeah, 2014. That was my first time of, was it 14 or 13? Yeah, one of those years at least. I'm like, oh my God. I didn't know what it was to think. I remember my mother always telling me, like, okay, don't think too much. Don't think too much. And I used to think, like, what does she mean? What does she mean? Don't think too much. But she meant like worrying and, being concerned about things and worrying about life and thinking too much. I never had that. Never. All I used to think about is like, what's the meaning with this? Or what is this? What does that mean? I have a lot of questions. Yeah.
So you discovered depression in 2014.
Hmm.
That's when you discovered it.
Yeah, anxiety as well, the same year, I think. Whatever names they call it, I felt those rush inside and I felt those, yeah,
They rushed.
that lack of like excitement. I have no excitement for life. This is not right. Like something is going on.
And
Because I have that excitement every day. Go ahead.
and it's interesting you say that they rushed inside. You said like depression, anxiety, all these feelings that came out of left field in 2014
Mhm.
somehow rushed inside. Where did they come from?
Came from situations. I think it comes from situations that you subconsciously absorb somehow. So I felt like, I lost my balance. It's like a child kind of like losing its innocence. That's what I felt like. I'm like, what is this feeling? What is this? And yeah, I know what it is though, so I won't fall for it so many times.
So once you know what it is, once you can name it, is that how you reclaim it or how you reframe it? Once you can name it?
If some people can name it and then, they become victim, you know, when you, some people diagnose themselves certain things. Oh, I'm depressed because of this, and I'm depressed because of that, and now they own it. For me, it was more like, what is this feeling? And why am I feeling this? And I realized, okay, it must be this situation. And I had to get rid of the situation because I couldn't feel myself. I couldn't recognize myself. And it was keeping me away from living somehow, you know, and that wasn't me. So I recognized it and I didn't want to be the victim of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I'm not good at claiming stuff, you know, like, oh, I'm this, and you know, I'm depressed, and I have anxiety, and I have this, or I have. No, it's not me.
Right. Right. And you know, so when you said you couldn't recognize yourself, how do you feel you finally were able to allow yourself to recognize you again? Like, how did you recognize yourself again from that?
From not just feeling like sad out of a sudden, you know, like for what? Why, why am I just feeling sad? Like, why can I not just? Or when I find like I'm good at creating my moments, you know. I feel like every day is like you have a new opportunity to just create whatever craziness, you know. So when I find myself in a way like I wake up and the day is just dull, and that's not me. I'm the kind of person that creates the moment, you know. Like, okay, what can we create today? And the day always gets short, like when I haven't even finished doing everything I wanted to do. So when I couldn't do that, it just didn't make sense, and I can't lay around because it's not in me. So I would walk around confused, not knowing what's going on, and yeah, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. I'm not saying I'm happy all the time, you know, but even like in a in a situation where people will cry, I will laugh in my normal state, you know, because I just feel like okay, reactions are reactions. You know, you can make things worse with your reactions. Yeah.
So, like you said, since you knew that wasn't you, how did you finally recognize yourself again? You know?
When I was able to create my moments again, and when I realized what depression was, that it
Okay.
wasn't me.
So it only rushed in and kept you because you didn't know what it was.
Hmm. Exactly.
Okay.
But I knew it wasn't me because I knew myself. And the reason why I recognized that was something was not, you know, right was because I knew myself.
Right.
But when people, let's say, like if you don't know yourself and then you get the depression, you make it into your personality because you think it's something, you know, part of you because you don't even know yourself. Does that make sense?
So it's like we make it a part of our identity,
Mm-hmm.
like a part of our story, a part
Mm-hmm.
of our narrative, a part of who we are. We write this in as us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just like with anything, Jerome, like people would say, like, what are you, fruitarian? Like, what does that mean? Now I have to label myself as fruitarian, so I have to just eat fruits? Or what do you? I don't get it. Why would I limit myself like that? And even though I do eat only fruits, why would I call myself something? Why? You know, you're identifying yourself with something. So now I have to look for, if I take a broccoli or something, oh, that's not fruit, you know? Now I have to eat vegetables. Hey,
Hey, good day to you. Glorious beginnings.
how are you?
How's it going? Yeah,
Good. Good.
the label of lifestyles and stuff like that. There's no label to it. There's no label to it. Just progressively, you know, progressive living. I eat mostly fruits as well, so you know,
Yeah.
just do it. I think we should, if we should just appreciate others and people being different. That's what makes the world a beautiful place. You know, this world is a canvas, and if we all were the same, it'd just be one blank sheet of paper.
Right.
But
Right.
with you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
thriving in
Mm-hmm.
your life, I thrive in my life, he thrive in his life. That's what makes it a masterpiece, master in peace. You know what I'm
I
saying? So,
love that.
which
I love it.
why would you want to label it anything when we're all working to be our ultimate optimum selves?
Exactly. Exactly. Labeling is just separation, you know? Like if I say I'm fruitarian, you see me eat broccoli, you're like, you eat broccoli. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it's Why? Why do, why do we have to label ourselves? You can eat whatever you want, you know. I would love you to just be you, you know, and allow me to be me. That's all it is. So, yeah. Thank you for that.
I respect that point of view. You know, allowing people to bask in their own creative greatness, because you know perfection is what you create. You create your own perfection. I don't think there's no book of perfection. There's no rhetoric to perfection. You know, you just create it, and you know, you enjoy that, and you live in that. As long as you, I just truly believe, as long as you're not affecting others in a negative way, you know, there's no wrong or right way to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, even, you know, negative and positive is just a perspective, you know.
True.
It is a
That's true.
perspective. You know, if someone is doing something, if I take it negatively, I remove myself.
Yeah.
It's not the person that's doing something. It's just like you're watching TV,
Yep.
switch the channel, you know.
Yep.
Just remove it.
Because you are affected a certain way doesn't mean that someone else will be. What you deemed you don't like, someone deemed that is the best thing for them. So
Exactly.
like the way you put that.
Yeah, exactly. So just remove yourself. You know, I think like everybody's doing whatever they're supposed to do, you know, even if you perceive it as wrong or wrong, right, you know, it's just, they're just doing them, you know.
Correct.
So if the seed is not for me, just I move, you know, I move. So, but I love that. I love to see a crazy man, you know, jumping around here. I see a crazy lady. Everybody is doing their act. You know, everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. But for me to come out and say, like, okay, let me go and save that person. Let me save this person. It's like I'm thinking I'm doing something right. And everybody else is doing something wrong, right? So if I just focus on myself, and then, you know, everybody else is doing themselves, that's all I can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all I can do. If you do you, I do me.
You said about going to say that person. If someone wants to be saved, they gravitate towards the things that will bring them out. So
Mm-hmm.
you, like you said, you doing you, and for instance, Daniel, he walks a lot, and a lot of people approach him with different aspects or point of views on how they perceive him or how they want to add value to him. Like I noticed he posted the other day, someone walked up to him and wanted to give him a necklace because you know his energy, his light, you know what I'm saying, aligned with that necklace. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to go ask for anything or someone. He didn't have to go adjust someone's life and them happen to reward him. They just, you know, they observe and then they gravitate towards the energy. I believe when you're in your bag, our person, people will gravitate towards you. Leading by example is that, like, you know,
Great point.
yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
do, they do. Yeah, it's just like you being you, you know, can help another, you know. When Jerome is like walking around, or when I'm just walking around, someone will see it and then just take that. But if I went to the person and approached them and then start preaching, the message would never go through. The message would never go through, you know. But I have to be the
Yeah.
message, not preach the message, but I have to be the message
Yeah.
because, you know, it's like even if you want to preach something, you have to use a certain language. You know, let's say like you just know how to talk. You go to India and maybe they don't speak, you know, English. What are you going to do? You can't even be the message. Now you only know how to speak the message, right? So being the message is louder than preaching the message. So if all of us can just be ourselves, I think that's how we can create the
That's
peace.
true. Because me as being a father, I learned that, you know, when you just telling your kids what to do, tell them what to do, they don't really receive it, and they tend to rebel. But when you're showing them what to do, or you're guiding them, I feel like guidance is the best. It's the best way. People just guide them where to go and stuff like that, or just, you know what I'm saying, be the biggest example is by, you know what I'm saying, being a living testimony. That
Mm-hmm.
there is preaching. That right there is you know, showing that this works. It actually in human form, it's in Homo sapien form, you know what I'm saying? And people, like you said, people gravitate towards that. Leading by example,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Let's even kids and adults. It's the same way, you know. Adults are just grown kids too, but it's just when you are yourself around your kids and not telling them, you know, do this and do that. You know, you have your rules, of course, but when it comes to like, okay, this is healthy, this is not healthy, this is that, this is that. You have to know like your children are being raised by society. So most of the times, what we are doing is like, how can we delete what society have taught them? You know, not even like something that you act to, but it's like how can you delete what they are being, you know, seeing, what they see every day, what they watch every day, what the teacher is teaching them. How can you delete that the only way you can do it is just like you have to be the truth that you think, you know, your children need to see. You have to just be it, and then they will come and question you. You know, they will think like, oh, why is my father different from these people, you know, and why is he doing this way? And then you're not imposing the truth, you know, your truth on them. So they would have to ask you like, okay, why do you juice, why don't you eat meat, you know? And all of those questions will come out, and that way you give them the freedom to question it, you know, because they're not stupid. They're walking around every day, see you do things, you know. So the things that you are saying to them to do and order them is more like an insult than teaching them anything, you know. So you can guide them by, you know, answering their questions.
It's like that, like it's like constant recalibration. It's like the Jack in the Box. You crank it up, and once it pop out and explode, you got to put it back in the box and crank it up. You know what I'm saying? And then you just gotta, like you said, you just gotta be that living image.
Yeah.
You can't sit up not to eat candy and nothing like that, and you got honey buns sitting next to the bed at night.
No,
You know
no.
what I'm saying? In the morning, the first image they do is like, "Dad, wake me up," and then they see honey buns and snacks by the bed. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Life doesn't. It's not conducive to their future. So like, you know, just with the way of the world, you know, there's constant forces tagging at them. You got YouTube that's taking away their reality. You got video games and the way they're being configured now. They're not like the old video games where it's more solved and it's more like just appeasing to the human nature. And then you got, you know, you got their peers, then you got the school rhetoric, which can be questioned at times. So, you know, as a parent, you're constantly recalibrating your child, and then, you know, it takes a village to raise the children. In any place in the world, you see the village being involved with the kids. That's the neighbor, that's the leaders, that's the elders,
Mm-hmm.
that's the warriors. That's everyone is playing a role in the children's lives. And then,
Mm-hmm.
us here. I don't know where you're at in the world, but here in America, it's
She in Oakland.
Oh, you're in Oakland. Well, you know what's going on. You see that, you know, in California, you can barely afford to be happy here. You can barely afford to smile. So, you know, with people going to work and being at work all day, it's everyone's duty to play a progressive role, an influential role in that child's life, or the kid go out and try to create their own reality. And everyone knows that as an adolescent, when your central frontal cortex is not connected, there's no logic. So the only logic you're gonna see as a kid is what appeases you, as you know what I'm saying, appeases your nature, your childlike nature.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that needs to be guided. That needs to be guided. That can't. Kids are not equipped to making serious decisions for themselves. You know, I don't necessarily try to impose that lifestyle of letting kids choose what they want, because they need to be guided. They need to be, not even like they need to be guided. Like, you need to guide it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, really, you know, it's a whole strategy behind the whole thing about children and everything. You know, it's long. I can go into another time, but it's just, you know, if you destroy the parent, you know, the children would just become the same, you know. So yeah, so it's like whatever you grew up on. Like if I look at Oakland, different parts of Oakland, you know, things that have happened. Like if you see the result of the adults, especially like my age, a little bit older,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they've had, you know, this, what was it, that crack time, remember?
Oh yeah, the crack.
Yeah, exactly. So then you have all those crack babies and everything. And then those crack babies have created another babies, you know. So the loop goes, you know, further and further. Like it's like a ball that's just rolling. So, and there are some places in Africa, for example, where villages, the children don't have like two parents. Every parent in the village are their parents. So if you feel like, you know, you don't want to be with your parents today, you know, you're like a 5-year-old, you can just be, you know, choose another parent. And then you can be with those parents. And another day you can choose another parent. So the whole village is like raising you, you know? So a child is only the environment that they grew in, and then they will become like that man or that woman in the society as well. So it's in the children, the changes in the children, but also like the children are looking at us.
Yes.
So how do we change that? So yeah, it's a lot of work that needs to be done.
There's
Trust
a
me.
war. There's a war right now on the kids.
It is.
You have ideologies just trying to preserve themselves, and they know that they know that the millenniums ain't going. So the only thing they can do is just get the next generation to get the kids. And right now, man, unfortunately, it's kind of working because these kids are programmed. They're programmed to be influenced a certain way, and
Yeah, there's a new AI.
I,
But
but that once you get the kids, that's like a whole 20 years of of uh, of infiltration. Like that's like 10 to 20 years of self-preservation in a negative or a positive. So
yeah,
my whole thing is I love working with children. I take pride in it. I have fun with it. It's like a movie. Being around kids, it's like being in a movie. It's a drama movie. It's an action movie. It's a comedy. It's whatever you want in that moment, and how that kid wants to respond to the day or to the situation. Like children are amazing.
they
They're
still have
great.
that imagination, that we lose. I always say like we get denser and denser the older we get.
Yeah.
So children have that imagination, and it's society will kill that. Society will solidify that. So it's important to help them keep the imagination at least, more fluid, and then they can create, you know, conscious things instead of like becoming more robotic and more like AI. So yeah, what can we do? The only thing to do is to be, like if you want your children to use their brain and get off the TV and stuff, start puzzling, start reading, start painting, start doing something that's activities that maybe will get them off these devices. Don't tell them to do it, but you do it.
I love how you said that because the only way to be is to do. Because I always believe that in order to relate to a child, you got to be on their level.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, like get down and look them eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
Because kids never been adults before, but we've been kids before.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's no expectation for them to know what we're trying to relate to them.
mm-hmm.
We literally have to level and push the content in a way that they can understand it, and also like you said, to be an image for them to set that example, to set the tone every day though. It's not a weekly thing or a monthly. It's a daily thing. Like
Yeah.
something
But
you
it's
have.
easy when you are the message all the time. Like some people would say like to me, like, oh, you're not doing these things, like you're not being a mother like that, and you're not doing this. And I'm like, yes, I am. I'm just being, and then they were watching. I'm not going and telling them like you have to do this, you have to do that. I will tell them a message like, okay, hey, this is your sleep time. Okay, this is the times you need to shower and follow those things. But then in the meantime, everything else that I'm doing, like when they have to eat, you have to do those things, that's a choice that you make. So I let them choose a lot of things without anything getting messy. But then it will look like I'm not parenting because I'm not pointing fingers all the time, and I'm not telling like do this, do that, do that. But I'm actually parenting in a deeper level where I'm giving them the option. I'm giving them the freedom, to choose and to be themselves as I'm being myself. So it's not like I'm saying you have to become like me. But eventually they will come and say like, hey, I want to start juicing. Now I know why, and I want to do this because now I know why. Because all this time they've been watching me, they've been thinking, why is she doing it differently? You know? So allowing them to just, make the choice it's easier. It's easier than getting disappointed because you painted a picture of how your child's going to be like. And now your child just turning to be something else, and now you get disappointed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these children are just like you said in the beginning, we're here to guide them. You don't own them. They're not your property, and they have a soul on their own. Just because if they carry your genes does not mean that this is your, property, right? It's just like, okay, a soul that came through you and it wants your guidance. Like, how aligned are you to guide this soul? If I came to you as a soul, I would think like, oh my God, I hope this person can guide me, through here. So that's all it is. And they look so innocent and they don't know and they just playing. But deep down, there are these souls that are seeking guidance.
It's
That's all
a
it
skill to procreate. That's
is.
literally, procreation is a skill. Like a
Hmm.
lot of people can't do it. It's proven. It's in the numbers that a lot of people are sterile. I mean, especially with the things that we're being promoted in America, the foods and stuff, all the artificial foods and everything. Like a lot of people can't procreate. You know, you got women that are dealing with things from taking birth control for so long, like PCOS and things that's really hurting a lot of people. So just for the ability to have a child and procreate and what I'm saying, be blessed with that responsibility, we can't take that life. We can't.
No, no. But it's like, the choices, like a lot of us make the choices when we haven't even found ourselves. We have children, and it's like you just think like it's something, an item that is added to your life, but it's not. But yeah,
Yeah.
true parenting is like you have to parent yourself before you become a parent.
Yes. 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 I,
Yeah, or get a plant or something.
I didn't mean to get so deep into everything, but
No, I really love all your input. I've seen all the Jerome's lives. You always come in and give us some knowledge. I love
oh
that.
man, I
Thank you.
appreciate yours as well. You have deep intellect, and it's an honor to be a part of these dialogues.
Thank you, Josh.
Right. All right. Blessings. So that sounded like a nice conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah. You stepped out, huh?
That sounded like a way to wrap up. Did you I mean, it sounded like a lot of nuggets were received just now, you know? A
Yeah.
lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
I love this, I'm not very experienced in the parenting field, so when I hear these things, a lot is revealed. Yeah.
Hmm. Like I said, I hope that some children are here to guide us. They are here to guide us, really. If we look at the, if we don't think we're smarter than them, like animals, we think we're smarter than them, but animals can also guide you.
Like
Like,
like how soot and and onion and
yeah.
all the animals hiding these beings in these books.
By the way, the name of the gorilla, what was it? Oba? What was the name of the gorilla at the end?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so
What,
the word Uba, even the way it spells, means flower in Somali. Yeah, I was thinking about. I'm like, oh, this elephant get the flower name. Yeah, Ubah means flower.
so a lot of the names had a lot of significance for you, especially because you know the language.
I no, I can't even pronounce any of the names. The author's name. It was the author's name. What's the author's name, Jerome?
You mean Nedi Okorafor?
You see, I can't even pronounce her name.
Okorafor.
I can't even pronounce her name. No, I'm not familiar with the names, but the story was based in Niger and Nigeria and in New York.
It was basically all over the place. They were in back in the smokelands, basically. They were transdimensional. Yeah.
It's a Smokeland from the other previous book. That's why I didn't have notes. I'm sorry. I know you're disappointed.
Hey, Naviha, we're doing the best we can.
I really enjoyed this book, and yeah, every page I wanted to take a note. Really, I wanted to, but I just can't stop.
Yeah.
So
Once you
I
pop,
will
you.
send you my notes.
All right.
I will send
All right.
you my notes. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Bye.
You too. Yeah. Basawili.
You see, you stepping into the other book. All right. It's a sunny day here, so